No problem.
Right. All right, everyone. Today is a special video. I got Big Law's Laurence Shahlaei, World Strongman competitor, all the way from the UK, and then Supernatural Neil Pickup. All right, guys, here we go. Let's talk about some super cool stuff. I mean, maybe a little arm wrestling, some strongman.
Sometimes the world doesn't need another hero. Sometimes what it needs is a monster.
All right, so what are we talking about? Let's talk about travel. Wow, pandemic crazy.
Loz, do you want to tell the tale of...
I was just saying to the guys before we started, I was supposed to be flying to the States today. There's a big under 105 strongman contest happening in South Carolina. Clash on the Coast. They've got the American log lift record. I was supposed to be coming over to do the commentating for that. Unfortunately, going anywhere or getting to America from Europe right now is a ball ache. And the only way we could have done it would to be go and say have like a 2-week holiday in Mexico or somewhere like that. But with 3 kids and, they're in school, so we couldn't have taken them out of school. Couldn't have put them up with the grandparents for what would have been 18 days, essentially, for a 4-day trip or working trip. We couldn't really ask the grandparents for that. So unfortunately, I'm not in the States. I'm back home, but we are out of lockdown now. I can go back to the gym. I'm training again. I've been able to go and see some of the strongmen. I've been, I was up seeing Hicksy and Felix this weekend. I saw Gav Bilton, who's going to Worlds a few weeks ago. So starting to get out and about, and it's, life's slowly getting back to a bit more normality now.
And you guys are both in training, aren't you? Because you've both got stuff coming up. Monster Michael Todd in the biggest arm wrestling match potentially of all time. And Loz making a comeback, Mother Fluff, another comeback. Eh?
Another comeback, yeah. There's probably going to be a few more between now and the time I totally finish. But I'm excited to see this big arm wrestling match, though. Michael Todd, Devon Larratt going head to head. It's the 3rd time. It's one apiece. Who's winning this one?
Well, you tell me who's going to win.
Oh, you're putting me. Who have I got? What? Well, tell me the rules first. I want to know the exact rules. Is it over 5, over 6?
Here's the deal. We talked one time about rules. We have not been back on the phone again since then. I'm really heavily leaning towards it's a PAL table, WF table, whatever. Why don't we just do straight arm wars? Just sit around straight arm wars. I mean, we were talking about doing arm wars rules with the WAL setup. I mean, maybe tweak it to where there's not so much downtime in the setup that we can't get a grip. We go to the strap or something. But, just keep it the way arm wrestling is globally. Don't try to change stuff up. Try to get your grip. If you can't, a certain amount of time, you can go to ref's grip or you can go to strap, whatever we want to do there. And then just keep it all arm wars. It makes the most sense to me, but we haven't discussed it again. But so it's probably 6.
You've got the square in the air option then as well, haven't you? For any sort of beef or things that you're not happy with, if anybody's got a point of contestation, you can go to the camera. I mean, Mike, you've been involved in, I would say, probably the most famous example of that of all time in arm wrestling, which was against Yoshi Kanai at the Trafford Centre, Manchester.
Yeah.
And Yoshi contested something vehemently. Had all his crew there with him, and Mike, we believed Mike had got the match. Went back. He claimed there was a foul. He claimed there was issues. We had an absolute jam-packed arena. I think we had over 14,000 people in there. We only actually topped that with the match with Devon. So we had a hell of a lot of people in there. Massive jumbotron screen up. Yoshi's contesting it like mad. Square in the air. Bang. Up it comes. And you see both Yoshi and Mike step to the front of the stage, turn around, looked up. Whole arena's looking at it. 4 or 5 angles, exactly the same thing. And it showed how it works, because Yoshi had gone from extremely frustrated and really arguing the toss to, okay, I got it wrong. Mike wins. Literally, like that. But the thing is, you've bought all the arena then into the drama of the match, so it worked really well. Plus, I don't think Mike could have sweated anymore.
So is that not a standard rule then in arm wrestling contests?
No.
It is not. And it's just like the WAL has done some amazing things, but some of their camera angles just suck. It's just because they try to be so much for entertainment, and we really need to have better camera angles so that there's no discussion. Like, I catch so much shit from the last match with Devon because my elbow's off the pad. Dude, my elbow is massive. Be in contact. So this part could be off, but this part's still on. This is the tip of my elbow. This is all bone growth. So if you're looking at it from this angle, it looks like
that is a freaky elbow. Just look at it. It's like the widest elbow anyone's ever seen.
If I crack you with that, it's a bad day.
You don't want ground and pound in your ass, innit? It's not raining in on. It's like, it ain't good. You
don't remember that arm wrestling? Have you seen the arm wrestling where they're sort of fighting at the same time?
Yeah, X-arms. Yeah.
What's that about?
Horrible idea. Come on, pick a sport. Either arm wrestle or fight. that right there is, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so if they had a right side angle of that same match, you would see that the tip is still on the pad. But I caught so much. I caught more hate from all the Devon Larratt fans because if we had a good ref, Michael would be the hammer holder. Well, we had a ref looking at my elbow the whole time while Jody's saying blah 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 blah. And he's like, no, it's there. I mean, you just don't see that side. You don't see that angle. I hope that
Mike, if you, from just going back to what you were saying a minute ago, with I think you made a really good point. I just wanted to pick up on it about sort of not trying to change so many things that it becomes confusing for, number one, the viewer from any fan base in arm wrestling, whether it be PAL, whether it be WAF, whether it be WAL, whether it be Arm Wars or other. The other thing is, it wouldn't be as confusing on a match of this magnitude for the ref, because they're then, okay, yeah, I've got some familiarity with how that works, and particularly with Bill Collins being the man who's slated to put the stripes on. He's used to the rules set, he's used to the system. And also, I think a lot of people who have seen Arm Wars, have watched Arm Wars, that have a familiarity with Arm Wars. You both have a familiarity with Arm Wars. The other thing is, it's where it all began, Mother Fluffer.
Well, the thing is, that Arm Wars match goes down as one of the greatest super heavyweight matches of all time. And we both did very well under the rule system. Why change it, right? People are like, oh, Michael Todd can't win without the WAL pads. Dude, I didn't create that shit. I didn't come over till 2017. I just took advantage of what was in front of me. You know what I'm saying? You showed me the rules. I just arm wrestle within those rules. It's not my fault that I won. You know what I'm saying? So people think, they forget because of social media and the new viewers, they don't realize that I've been doing this for 31 years. And I've been arm wrestling on 7x7 pads and PAL pads and under rigid rules forever, you know? So Arm Wars just makes most sense to me. But we are off topic. He still hasn't gave me his pick yet.
Well, so ask him what the rule set was so he could.
I want to sort of absorb this kind of like information that I'm picking up, because obviously I'm not as experienced as you guys in the arm wrestling world as much. I've recently, the last couple of years, become a big fan. You know, I've literally gone back and watched all the Arm Wars. I've actually messaged Neil before. I'm like asking him about the different arm wrestlers and, you know, trying to learn stuff, because I got into a bit of arm wrestling probably just before the pandemic, really. You know, here, that's what I sort of joined a local club, and I went about 6 weeks in a row, and then everything locked down. Unfortunately, haven't been able to go back. I've had a couple of practice sessions, but just, you know, nowhere near the time I wanted to put into it. But, you know, in that time, there's been the build up between you two. Obviously, we had the build up for Sagnashvili as well. We were hoping that you guys would have gone head to head, and I think that would have been a really interesting matchup, just because I think it's clear he's never arm wrestled someone like yourself, and Devon has that familiarity of arm wrestling before. But how much better would you say you are now than when you the first time you and Devon went head to head in Arm Wars? And is Devon better or worse since then?
Okay, so I would say that I have evolved quite a bit since our first encounter in 2011. It's been a decade, you know. It'll be 2 months shy of 10 years since the first match.
Wow.
So I think I have focused a lot more on my hand and my wrist. I'm not the same guy that I was back then. And even to the point of 2018, I focused more on my hand and wrist. And my hand and wrist won that day. Like, I took his hand and wrist every time. I just had a different strategy. I went from more of a floating hand style that had worked really well against anybody who was really aggressive offensively to more a clamping hand style to where when I was offensive, I didn't give up the leverage advantage to Devon, meaning I did not allow him to walk through my hand because I just clamped my hand on the back of his. It kept me from walking, but it also eliminated him from walking. I would probably use a similar strategy now, but as far as my strength, of all my arm wrestling matches in my entire career, barring some stupid freak shit in the next few weeks, I believe I'll be 4 to 5% stronger than I've ever been in my life in regards to arm wrestling.
Just one thing, and to sort of throw into that from familiarity with you then, familiarity with you throughout your career, even in the most recent meeting, and how you look physically now. I think it's undeniable that you've put genuine, noticeable size on in the areas that matter for the sport of arm wrestling. The hand and wrist are without question bigger, thicker. You're utilizing them better, and you've tightened up your King's move a lot. The manner in which you use the King's move and the transitions are smoother, less easy read. But one of the key fundamental prerequisites of trying to work around the Kings is to gain height. Number one, you've got to be able to hold center. If you can't win the center, it's going to be a very bad day for you. If you lose, this is for Lozzie's benefit, really. Obviously, Mike understands it extremely well. But if you lose pronation, if you lose your ability to control the pronation and supination in any arm wrestling match, it's a negative thing for you. You want to be able to control. People think it's just about controlling this. Not at all. It's about controlling this and this. If you can control where that happens, you create leverage failures in your opponent. And one of the key fundamental prerequisites of trying to work around the Kings is holding center and climbing height. So you're effectively holding that center, waiting, walking, collecting, walking, collecting, build around and get to a press finish. And that's the sort of prescribed, this is how you beat the King's move in a bullet form, you know. Well, that's all well and good when the guys that are typically the fellas that use King's move very well have tended to lose their hand and wrist in the match. You look at Crazy George's Akowitz, tended to lose his hand and wrist in the match early. Mike would sacrifice his hand and wrist into some inexplicably weird position.
I've seen some awful positions. Watching Mike arm wrestle is quite painful sometimes.
And both George and Mike, if you freeze framed some of the matches, particularly considering who they're arm wrestling at that time. So we're not talking about them arm wrestling some guy who's not had a lot of experience in the sport. Really exceptional, very technically gifted arm wrestlers can't get around the move, even when they've got all that height, the wrist and hand are sacrificed. So many things are in their opponent's favor, and yet Mike and George were always able to hang them up. So if the person who's King's moving has all that horsepower to back it up in the hand and wrist, or certainly tremendous improvements in that area, gives you a real opportunity. So that I think the match is going to be won and lost on whether Devon can hold center is critical for him, because Mike's prediction, I mean, you've said publicly a number of times now, Mike, you intend to run him over. I mean, I'm praying that doesn't happen because I want it to be a screaming career-ending death war.
He will have to be something very, very special on that day to stop me from running through him. I mean, he will have to be something very special. Otherwise, that dude's going for a ride.
From what you guys know a lot more than I do about arm wrestling. What you've seen of Devon, I love watching Devon. I find him entertaining. I think he's knowledgeable. From someone from like a more layman's kind of approach to arm wrestling, I really find him interesting to listen to. But obviously, I don't have, when it's strongman, I've got that kind of expertise that I see things that the normal person doesn't always see. And I know, Neil and yourself will see things that the rest of us won't see. Are you seeing things in Devon at the moment? Do you think he's at his best? Or do you think Devon's best was a few years ago?
I believe Devon is a mastermind fucker. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's sandbagging. I think he's going to be very, very strong. I think he's going to be very, very strong. We go back and forth about everything, but I mean, I spoke to him as soon as I knew that there was a possibility that Levon was not going to happen. I immediately had a backup, and it was Devon. Spoke to Neil about it a month, 6 weeks in advance before we announced it, right? Neil knew what was going on. And I specifically said, can you be ready? Can you be competitive? What's the word? What's up? He's like, 100%. Thank you for the opportunity. I will be my best, So is that just optimism, or is that just, I'm telling you, I talked about this the other day, him and John Milne did an interview, and I was just kind of spoofing it a little bit, giving some shit. The one part that kind of, shivers down my spine a little bit was mission first, mission before self. He's a different breed. He's a different breed. We're just arm wrestling. This guy has lived a much more serious life than just arm wrestling, right? So there's a fine line between me wanting Devon to be, prepared in his strongest form for this match, and him being, go back to that special forces tier 1 operator, badass, mission above all else. And I don't need that guy to show up. Seriously, I just want a really competitive Devon. I don't need him to go to the dark side and get all crazy. The last time that we did this, Neil will tell you, I had the mental edge. And rarely, if ever, does anyone have a mental edge on Devon. But I had it. I played the game perfectly. I played everything that I said was going to happen, happened. I don't have that vision of this match.
And he had all the pressure. He had all the pressure at that time, and was heaping pressure upon himself. And this is the funny thing, right, Loz? A lot of people consider themselves deeply embedded within the sport of arm wrestling. There's a lot of people there who I wish I was as certain about anything as they are about everything. Okay, and the reality of the situation is as simple as this: once you get to a certain level in any sport, but certainly let's keep it specific on my field of expertise and go arm wrestling. Once you get to a certain level in arm wrestling, you are capable of really, really screwing somebody's day up, okay, sure, in any given position. Now, if you then layer on top of that someone who's specialist in pulling one-on-one matches, the reason I gave Devon the moniker No Limits back in the day was because of the fact that it's like the Archimedes law is where it actually came from. If people want to know where No Limits came from, that was it. And Archimedes law, if you give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum strong enough, then I will move the world. And he has done. And he continues to do so. And he will again. Whether or not he will on the 28th is a different matter. But don't underestimate, styles make matches in all combat sports. And when Michael and me were talking, as he said, we knew about this way before it was announced. And Mike's a personal friend, Devon's a personal friend. In fact, I'm going to say, along with Jeff Hale, those were sort of 3 undeniable signature arm wrestlers, for the Arm War Super Series. And when these guys met the first time round, I said, oh, no, we don't need that in our lives, because they're my 2 signature heavyweight and super heavyweight champions, respectively. So I was it was that bastard that was trying to do it. He wanted them. I'm like, no, we don't want that. We got into an argument on a bus coming away from Tahoe where he just pulled, and I said, you show up well in this, we'll get the match on. The moment we got on that bus, he's on my ass. So chasing the match down because he wanted to prove it. Now, when he said, look, well, we discussed it, and we pretty much were aware then at that time that the Levon match was looking on shaky ground. And he said, well, what else makes sense? Well, it's the trilogy, and it's Devon. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah,
it's the match everyone wants to see.
But for Michael, it's one of those, if you're Michael's manager, you're kind of like, nah, fuck that.
Oh, because Michael's got everything to lose. There's no doubt about that.
Particularly where he'd got to, and Michael's wanted to be world number 1 and recognised as world number 1 for so long, and he's right on the, because of circumstances, he's right on the precipice of tilting that. And I actually believe he had a really great chance. That's a match I really want to see anyway. Forget if Devon won this match, I'd still want to see Mike versus Levon more than Devon versus Levon.
Sure.
Honestly, I just think that will be a stupid defining match. But from Mike being in that position to then say, "Oh, I'll pull this dude," who on paper, for most people, they might do their maths and draw their information and their stats and think, yeah, Devon doesn't necessarily represent that big a threat, particularly as he had the sickness issues and so on and so on. And there were significant health issues. But the other side of that coin is that Devon has so much read, so much capability, flexibility, versatility, strength, size, all advantageous over Mike. He's also a specialist in one-on-one format. He's also got exceptional endurance. All those factors represent, and you think about it, how many other super heavyweight arm wrestlers on the planet have ever embraced the King's move and understood it to that level?
Devon probably knows it better than me. He genuinely does. I'm just, because I don't think about it, I just do what I do, right?
Are there any other heavyweights, like elite level, that use it other than yourself? And I mean, Devon started to use it in some matches, but you use it more.
Several times.
Dennis had a King's going down. He started. Yeah. Teplenkov started to break the Kings out effectively. Did it with Chafee, actually.
It's amazing. It's amazing. People kind of talk so badly or negatively of the King's move. If someone like Denis Teplenkov was doing it, because
Dennis wanted to win, and he found that he had the propensity to be able to use the move. And there's a lot of guys that say, "Oh yeah, I wouldn't fight dirty in a fight." Now, until it came to they're in that situation, then you probably end up doing it anyway. Sometimes your natural instinct just takes over. The thing is, it's having the propensity, the capability, the expertise, and the experience under fire to actually do it and to work effectively in that move. Now, Dennis and any of the other heavyweights that we mentioned, or any that you want to bring up, didn't have that level of capability or experience with that move. Only 2 men in the super heavyweight division ever have, and they're going into this match. So if you were picking a dude to try and screw up your day and screw up the potentially exceptional position you're currently in from a CV perspective as an arm wrestler, Devon's a shit choice.
Yeah.
And I actually said to Mike, we're on the phone, I said, I get it. Celebrity arm wrestler, ace, love it. You bellend. Terrible fucking match. Don't do that.
I think one thing I've noticed about Michael over the last couple of years and watching the old stuff as well, you seem to be an athlete that just you weren't as scared to go against anyone. And even when you were losing against, like, I'm talking going back, a number of years now, you just looked like you wanted to get back on the table and get better and better all the time. There was no sort of, I'm done today. It was like, right, I've lost this match, I still want to keep going. you look like you were just always looking to get better.
Yeah, there have been a couple moments in my career where losses did affect me in the moment that I thought I was done. But by the time I get back home and I look around or I see that second place trophy or something, I'm like, fuck this shit.
I mean, I'm doing this. I remember watching an epic battle between you gents on the beach. You two, that was an awesome match.
Everybody talks about that match a lot, right? And honestly, I'll tell you the truth. In myself and Mike's mind, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, I think that match was playtime compared with our match that we had in Italy. Now that, if you wanted to see a left-hand banger, we did a first to 100 pins.
100 pins?
Yeah.
Did you have arms left?
Things we met at on Sambalo Beach in Mallorca when Mike was the heavyweight champion, and in the middle rounds of that match, I think it was like round 4, I got a flash pin and something broke in the man's arm. So I mean, definitely. And I thought, whoa, and we're friends. So I'm thinking, holy shit, that was serious. I actually thought he'd be like, oh, okay, I'm out. That's that. We got to call it. It's never going to make Eurosport. We're not going to show it. But obviously, we're dealing with that clown. So he's like, oh, and he starts getting angry. He's like, oh, fuck it, let's go, you know. So I'm like, oh, God, he's going to break his fucking arm or something like that, which ain't great when I'm running the promotion.
Sure.
You know, if a frigging champion's arm gets busted. Now, we got to, you know, chatting about that after, and we went over to, it was after, wasn't it? When we went over to Yellow's tournament. And we were.
Okay. That was 2009. No, we did that in 2008. It was 2008
before. In fact, probably what led to it. But we got on it. We did a first to 100 match.
So this wasn't like a proper match. This is like Rocky and Apollo, you know, after fighting.
Hey, but when you say wasn't a proper match, oh fuck. What? I mean, some of the positions that were going on there, and some of the stuff was it. I mean, it was
198 matches.
It really did, yeah.
Who won?
No
comment. Fat lad Neil Pickup got me 198.
But I'll tell you what, the thing is though, it's like I remember I watched an old UFC, right? And on the UFC, it was David Tank Abbott fighting Scott Ferozzo. And after the fight, Scott Ferozzo gets the decision, right? And they go over and there's an interview with Tank Abbott after the fight. And he says, yeah, judges say he won the fight. But after the fight, I went and had a cocktail. He's in the emergency room. And me and Mike were a bit like that. After the match, he's pulling the next day in the restaurant. I couldn't hold my dick. Went to absolutely the death. Because I'd get a start on him and get an unbelievable position where in my mind I'm thinking it is physically impossible for me to lose that. No way can I lose. Not from there. And the bastard had pulled me up. Oh, mate, we had some fun. It was good stuff, wasn't it?
It was brilliant.
See, imagine if we had that on YouTube. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I mean, it was brutal. It was so brutal. People were looking at us like, are you people crazy? What's wrong with y'all? Off the side, like, are you crazy? You know?
Are you guys finding that like social media and stuff like that is really helping arm wrestling right now?
Oh, absolutely. Everything that Larry's doing is going crazy. I mean, look at every video they produce just about. I mean, every other video, there's arm wrestling in it. I mean, they're putting a lot of arm wrestling. So that's helping. Devon's notoriety, you know, the fact that our channel is getting significant growth. So here, I'll talk about that real quick. So, yeah, in regards to Devon, I plan on winning. Like, I want to win convincingly because I know if there's not a gap in strength, it's going to come down to who makes the fewest mistakes. And I don't want to put myself in that position. I don't want to be in a position where I have to battle wills against the only other guy in the sport who is just as stubborn as I am. You know what I mean? I don't want to. I mean, it's probably what's going to happen, but I'm trying to make it not happen.
That's what we want to see happen as the fans.
Well, you were just saying into this, mate. Tying that in, Loz. The biggest thing about this is, I always think people forget that we're dealing with two human men. And little things can create massive differences. Who has the smoothest flight over there? Who's adjusted to the temperature, the weather, the food? Little issues that can make. And if I think a lot of people that don't compete in any type of sport don't always understand how many factors go into performance at the end of the day. I know from my own performances in Strongman, you know, there's been times where I've traveled I went to Texas, then I flew back to the UK, flew to China, back to the UK, and then I went to Canada. By the time I was in Canada, this was all within like a few days of each other. I think I failed like a 180 stone or something like that. And you got people at home going, oh, that's crap. You know, he can't lift a 180 stone. My body was shot. You know, I didn't know where I was, what time it was or anything. But people just see the performance. They don't see what goes on behind the scenes. And obviously that's up to us to try and make sure the preparation is as good as possible. But like you say, you've got the chance to see it now, maybe more than you ever have before.
Yeah.
You know, it's like kind of like that fly on the wall thing, but far more. One of my concerns, going to be honest, was that some of that would detract, particularly from Mike, because you've gone like big time professional. I'm watching Mike's stuff. I watch both of your stuff all the fucking time, actually. In fact, you both like it feels a bit wrong because you're often in the shower with me, but we'll not talk. But the reality is, if you watch a lot of Mike's stuff, you can see, okay, it's getting slightly more professional. And the other night I see the thing and he's got his dogs in the goddamn wrapped RV that he's going to be doing. And you think to yourself, how in the can you focus to the level you've been traditionally focused when you've got all this stuff? Look at Thor when he used to talk about all the time, oh yeah, I've dropped a little bit because I'm filming Game of Thrones. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And surely there's someone in that. Well, worries me, mate.
Okay, so on that note, because that's where I was going with this, do I think arm wrestling and social media is helping out a lot? Absolutely, absolutely. And whether or not I win or lose this match, people are like, well, talk about the Raptor RV. Well, be sure to put X champion on there if you lose, or after Devon beats you. I'm like, dude, I'm always going to be a world champion. It's whether or not I'm the reigning world champion. That defeats, it doesn't matter. Devon is not the champ, but Devon's loved by everyone. So you don't have to be the champ, right? So when we get back home, we bought the RV. We're finalizing sponsors. It's going to be wrapped. And our first trip, we're taking off in the end of June, 1st of July. We're going on 3 weeks. We're going to be home for a week or two, and then we're going on another 3 or 4 weeks. Just traveling the United States, collabing, Brian Shaw, Juji again, all kinds of content. And that's exciting to me. Now, how is that distracting me? No, I let Rebecca handle all that shit. Rebecca's out there waiting for stuff right now. She was so pissed at me yesterday. Seriously, we just got this thing home Monday. She's been so excited. I'm telling you, I haven't seen Rebecca this happy in years. And then I saw her come in here yesterday. I was finishing up training clients, and you could tell she was pissed. I'm like, what's going on? She goes, I'm mad as hell. I threw a tantrum outside. I'm like, I'm sure you did. She goes, I said, why? She goes, because why? You're the man. You're supposed to be doing the man shit. I was like, I'm prepping for a man. I mean, so right now I'm tunnel vision focused on this match. I got to beat this Canadian. That's going to pay us really, really well. Once I get done with that, you got my full attention, But Rebecca, I mean, she takes care of me, dude. She's, we're having a lot of fun. We're releasing a video tomorrow. I want you guys to watch it and give me your honest opinion. Shoot me a message, whatever. I personally think it's the funniest one we've done yet, but it's obviously spoofing Devon. But we're having fun with it. But I want it to get to a point to where there's not so much stress. There's not so much we are an arm wrestling fitness channel. I want to transition into a lifestyle channel. Arm wrestling will always be part of my lifestyle. Fitness will always be part of my lifestyle. But I want to travel and see the world. I tell people all the time, I don't care how old you are. If you haven't traveled, you haven't lived. And there's so many beautiful places to see. And especially right now with the pandemic, people haven't got to travel. So I think people will jump on board and just want to see all of our adventures, So that's my whole thing. I'm excited about that. I love arm wrestling. I'm always going to be an arm wrestler. Am I not focused on this match? I am more focused on this match than any match there's ever been in my life. If I was to lose, it still does not hurt any of my goals. I'm still going to accomplish everything else I want to do. But that's no big deal because I'm not going to lose. So I kill this dude. That's going to be bad.
So what we need to do here, Mike, is you need to get a situation right where you get your ass over here to the UK on some Giants gigs or something. And we need to do some collabs with Strongman where we pick a Strongman a piece, right? And we train them up. And then that Strongman, they go against each other. Now that is what we need to be doing. Because how
pretty cool.
Is it that you've got so many guys from that field that are crossing over into. I mean, I would love to get Mark arm wrestling.
We've talked about Mark Felix several times. Mark Felix's hands are unbelievable.
I trained with Mark 2 days ago, and I mean the guy's 55 years old. He's incredible, like just seriously incredible. We were myself, Graham Hicks, and Mark Felix all training together. Now Hicksy right now, when it comes to gym strength, I don't think there's not many people in the world that match him. He's just a beast. He's so, physically strong. I mean, he deadlifted 400 kilos, 880 pounds for 3 reps on an axle, which, you see all these guys pulling these big deadlifts on whippy deadlift bars. I can promise you, as someone that, understands deadlifting, pulling on an axle is so much harder. Myself and Felix.
Straps? No straps?
It was with straps, but
okay.
I mean, people. Honestly, it's so different to a deadlift bar. It really is. You get the whole weight in your hands straight away. He pulls his first warm-up set, it was supposed to be 380. Mark misloaded it, so it was 400, but lopsided. He pulls 400 like it's nothing, but he's just like, what the hell? We kind of get the weights right for him. He goes again and does 3 reps. Me and Mark pulled 330. You know, Mark and myself are decently strong deadlifters. I mean, everyone knows how strong a deadlifter Mark is, but Hicksy's just on another level. But these two went head to head on a 440-pound stone, 200 kilo Atlas stone. They both hit 3 reps each. Hicksy looked absolutely fucked. You know, he amazing strength, but he was, you know, sweating profusely. He was kind of done. Felix, 55 years old, looks as fresh as a daisy and ready to go again. He's just an amazing human being. I got massive hands to compare to like a normal person. I feel like a little boy shaking that man's hand. His hands are just ridiculous. And, you know, with the length of his fingers, his thumb, and then the just hand strength that he has on top of that. Plus, he's got ridiculously strong forearms, ridiculously strong wrists, triceps and biceps. You know, his lats are ridiculously strong. With someone teaching him how to arm wrestle, he's going to be awesome.
And where's he live?
Yeah, about 5 minutes from you.
I shit you not. Mark Felix lives that close.
The only issue for Mark as an arm wrestler is he's not he doesn't really like confrontation. And I think, you know, I remember doing wrestling against him back at Britain's Strongest Man a number of years ago. And he just doesn't have that killer instinct in a man against man sport. He's amazing at the strongman stuff, but when it's man against man, he just kind of I don't know if he holds back or what, but he just doesn't. I think when it's like a fighting sport or combat sport, you have to have that ability to just block everything out and go for that, you know, killer instinct. And I just don't know that he's got it in a sport like that, but he's got all the attributes for sure. You know, if someone taught him how to arm wrestle, I'm sure within a very short period of time, he'd be amazing.
Of all the lads you've come across, Loz, in strongman, past or present, if you had to sort of pick, like, say, let's say we pick 2 guys each, 2 for me, 2 for Mike. Obviously, make mine better. Who were the 4 guys you'd like to really know how they do as arm wrestlers outside of the ones we know, like Vitalis?
Yeah, I mean, Vitalis was a great arm wrestler. Obviously, Magnus Samuelsson was great as well. It's different. There's a couple of guys that just their hand strength and their hand size there's a guy called Louis-Philippe Jean from Canada. He had ridiculous hands, and his hands were not quite as long as Mark's, but his fingers were just so thick and powerful. He'd be an interesting one. Phil Pfister as well. Phil Pfister had ridiculously big, strong hands.
Big time.
Big man.
Naturally big brute of a man. He would be an interesting one for sure. Felix, I definitely would love to see what he could do.
Phil Pfister, Jesus Christ, let's hope he never was.
I don't know. I mean, you know, it's not always these big monsters that make the best arm wrestlers. We've seen some amazing arm wrestlers that are just normal, if you like. But, you know, I think for freaks of nature, those 3 sort of stand out for sure. You know, there's others as well. You know,
I'd love to see Tommy Stoltman, what he could do, because Tom's another giant dude.
Well, just ridiculously long forearms as well, and you know.
Yeah, I'd love to see if Tom could pick up the technique and what have you. Sometimes guys who are extremely big like that struggle a little bit with the technical transition, but if you could get that mastered. Oof.
Do you know, I did a strongman competition against Denis Saplenkov many years ago. He did a bit of strongman.
Was that when you wasn't the one you won in Ukraine, was it?
No, this was even before then. It was a competition we did in, I think it was Belarus or something like that. Mm-hmm. It was just I didn't even know who he was at the time, but you know, he's a very distinctive man. You know, it's him, and he was competing there for. They had a few Russian-speaking kind of countries competing, and he was one of the athletes. I think I was the only English-speaking athlete at that contest. One of my first internationals. How did I do?
No, how did Dennis go on?
It was a team competition, so it was like Russia against America, but weirdly, I was a part of the American team, and we actually won. So it was myself and Brian Shaw were there, a couple of other guys, but yeah, but he was an okay strongman, but a much better arm wrestler. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, it's like with the strongman. There'll be plenty of strongmen, myself included, that are great strongmen, but not great arm wrestlers. And I don't think people can sort of get their head around that sometimes. They go, oh, you're so much stronger in, biceps or your lats. But it's very unique movements in arm wrestling. And unless you experience it, I mean, I can confidently sit here and say I'm stronger than Neil, but I know he will kick my ass in an arm wrestling match. It's a very different type of strength, and it doesn't always cross over. I've got great grip strength, but the kind of fine movements that you guys have, you find the weaknesses. And even arm wrestling showed me that my fingers aren't as strong as I thought. When it comes to like that clamping type movement, I'm strong in my thumb when it's like gripping onto a bar and clamping my thumb in. Yeah, but the fingers are now, I'm sort of doing some movements I've never done before that are starting to develop that type of strength. And it's just interesting learning the specifics that you need for different sports. So I find it quite fascinating.
Yeah, it's hey, hang on a minute. Are we not still off topic? Who are you going for?
You're not gonna let me off this, are you?
No.
Hand on my, like, honestly, I want to see it. I'm sure Michael doesn't. Michael wants to go in there and wipe the floor. I don't think it's going to be a totally one-sided battle. I think it's going to be a great match. Picking a winner is very difficult. You got two of the best arm wrestlers of all time, and I want to see an epic match. And then the last two times you guys have gone against each other, it's turned into that. There's no, it's been exciting. I think it's going to come down to, I think it'll be close. I mean, is it best of 6 then you're looking at?
With the silver bullet, probably.
Okay.
Win 4 rounds, I think.
I'm going to stay on the fence. I'm staying on the fence. I want to know who's Neil going for. You're the expert. Come on, who are you going for?
Yeah, I've got Mike 4-2.
4-2.
Yeah, I've got Mike 4-2 as it stands now. Mike's got Mike 6-0. Devon's probably got
himself
3-3 and a silver bullet. I think we heard a lot the other day. I was listening to Mike talking about his private conversation with Devon, and Devon was pushing for the option of a 7th. That told me a lot. The silver bullet match, the old Arm War silver bullet. Well, we get the silver bullet match. If you're thinking about the silver bullet match, you think, he's obviously got that very realistic, well, I'm not going to run through him attitude, because nobody's ever run through Mike.
That's the thing you're right. And I'm sorry to cut you off. I know you're talking. I'm talking about, and I'm claiming annihilation and victory, right? But realistically, if the match stops, you're
going to be prepared for a war, aren't you? You're not going in there. You prepare to go to hell and back to win this.
Yeah, to die.
Explain. And people always take this the wrong way, and it blows my mind why they do. But there is a nice appearance fee, the biggest appearance fee any arm wrestler's ever received for a single match. Mm-hmm. There is a larger win bonus.
Yeah, and it's all
I refuse to let someone take that money from my family. That's just what it comes down to. I don't care about the trophy, and I'm a trophy whore. Like, this place is full of, what I'm saying? I don't care about the victory of the trip. I care about providing for my family. And this is too big of an opportunity for me to, when I say I'm prepared to die, it's not die to win, because if I die, I'm going to lose, right? But I'm prepared to go as hard as I have to go to come out on top of this thing. To beat me, you will. And that's what I said. People are talking about, because I am beat up. I am sore. I've done a lot. I've never done this much arm wrestling preparation prior to a match. Normally I was, it's in the gym training, get on the table, see where I'm at. Get on the gym training, get on the I've done so much arm wrestling against top level arm wrestlers. Mm-hmm. And Todd Hutchins and I pulled for 3 days straight. Yeah. Very similar to the first one to win 100. I mean, it was brutal as shit. And then I've had multiple big time practicing since then. But people are like, oh, well, he's just coming up with excuses. He's saying he's sore, he's saying he's this, he's saying he's tweaked. If Devon beats me, he beats the absolute best version of me ever. Like, my preparation for this match is not to pull Devon Larratt. My preparation for this match is to pull a hybrid of Levon Sagner-Smealy and Devon Larratt. I'm prepared to pull someone as strong as Levon and the endurance of Devon. That's who's coming.
And the other interesting point on that is I read a lot of comments and seeing people saying, oh, yeah, is it effective that Devon goes bigger? Is it effective, this giant, super strong, amped Devon? Yeah, Devon, I'm imagining, figures he knows enough about Michael's style and Michael's strengths and weaknesses to have seen a little chink of daylight and a door open a little bit. And in his mind, he thinks, I need to have enough equidistant power to be able to charge to the light and kick the fucking door up its hinges. And if I can do that, it is on. Because in the last match in Atlanta, he could never access that. Devon never got to where he could win that match, truth be known. And also, I knew that Michael was in a degree of cruise because he basically told me how every round would go the night before in the frigging bar eating peanuts. So when you were up there, you're keeping the thing rolling when we were commentating it. But, I got a couple of looks from Mike, and it was like the little nod that you don't see on the camera doesn't pick up. But he'd look up and I'd say something. And he's always listening as well. I don't know why. He's always tuned in and listening to what you're saying. But you'll make a comment and he'll just look at you and catch your eye like, yeah, motherfucker, just to remind you. And in his mind, I know he's always done that. When the first frigging pin that he got against Devon in Manchester, he said, I told you. I thought he was coming off the stage at me. Oh,
do you find it hard as a friend of a lot of these guys? You got to be totally honest when you're commentating. Do you find sometimes that they get upset by what you say?
Oh, yeah. I think so. I'd hope less so from Mike and Devon, actually. Yeah. Because I think they get it now. People say, oh, who do you think will win or who do you want to win? I don't give a shit who wins. Yeah. Honestly, I genuinely can look at myself. I'm not bothered because both guys, I love both guys.
Sure.
And you spoke earlier on about Devon. I fucking love Devon. Devon's ace. Devon's not just a, and Mike will tell you the same. Devon's not just ace on, on camera character Devon Larratt. I know Devon Larratt must be not far off 20 years. And let me tell you now, Devon Larratt's ace. He's a really good man. Really, really good dude. Yeah. Consider him very, very close friend. Very, very straight guy. Very genuine man. Principled man. Good bloke. Same exact thing about MT. So it's more best man on the day and hope, nobody gets injured. Both men get.
And that's the thing. When you're at this level, nobody can predict what's going to happen. And this is, I say this about Strongman all the time, but when you're at that level, it comes down to on the day, who's the best, who's prepared the best, who's come in injury free, who's come in eating the right food, who's fueled it right, who's, to quote Eddie Hall, who's hydrated. There's so many little factors that kind of affect performance. And it's why when I'm talking about Strongman, I just give my honest opinion. It's never a personal attack on a certain athlete. I thought I'd ask you, because obviously getting into the commentating side of things that I do now, you see some people really don't like it when you say something about them. And it's, sometimes I take it as a positive. If you're saying certain things, I'd be trying to learn from it. Okay, I know, I respect Neil's opinion, and I'd be like, okay, if he's saying this, these are things I can get better at. And I think sometimes people get a bit sensitive.
How many people you figure had you tipped for Europe's Strongest Man in 2016?
Yeah, no one. Yeah. Everyone was kind of talking about the mountain.
Yeah, and he's going to crack Hathor tonight, and people that have gone, Laurence beats Hathor? No way.
Yeah.
What?
I did, and the funny story about that, people say I only beat Hathor because he was doing the filming for Game of Thrones. I spent 5 weeks leading up to that show filming for Kingsman 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I was literally sleeping on my mate's sofa, going to the studios for like 4 a.m, doing 12-hour days filming. I'd go and train at 10 p.m. at night, and then sleep on my mate's sofa, and that was my prep for Europe's Strongest Man. And it was probably good because I wasn't distracted by anything else. I had other things occupying my mind. I wasn't there worrying about the competition. It was hard because you're trying to get your food in, you do filming, you try and get your training in. It was tough, but it just got routine. And then came to the show, beat Hathor, and I beat Hafthor on that day. I'm not stupid enough to go around saying I'm a better strongman than Hafthor, but on that day with those events, I was the best man. And that's top level sport. It's not. If we knew exactly what was going to happen, it would be boring. This is why it's great. The build up to these events is where it's all at. This is where the fun bit, this is what I enjoy about fighting, about arm wrestling, about strongman. It's the build up. And then we'll enjoy the show. Monday, everyone goes home and gets on with their lives.
And there's a degree of rawness around the social media thing, which really is quite exciting. I wish me and Mike had I wish I'd had like a little chest GoPro on the night before when, as I say, people don't believe when I tell you he predicted the Atlanta thing. He did.
I was going to say that. How many people think that you're just making that up? They don't believe it. They're just trying to sell a story, make it better.
Mate, I've had so many messages that have said just that. That have said, "Oh, yeah, you're saying that because you're Mike's friend," or "No, really, he really." And the funny thing is, I was like, "Yeah, good luck with that." And at this point, and he's telling me about the fact that he'll call Devon up back to the table, and I'm thinking bullshit.
One thing I do love about
great, but no, it's not going to happen.
One thing I love about Mike is that, you see a lot of people that they tell you they'll, go to the limit and they'll kill themselves to win, and they're going into beast mode and all this kind of bollocks. 99% of people, it's bullshit. With Mike, he's going there to give absolutely everything. There is no, it's going to be 100% or it's going to be nothing. And it's something I really admire about. There's a few athletes out there, and it's impressive when you see people that say they want it and they really do, because it's most of the time it's just all talk. But with Mike, it's truth.
Yeah, so it's a special athlete, isn't it? That does. I mean, I always used to respect that a great deal with Eddie Hall, because Eddie's made Ed. I mean, he's made those claims. I'll do this. I'll climb the wall of the pub using only my lips. And you're like. But next thing you know, there he is on the pub roof. It's like, well, holy shit. It's just sometimes things happen, stars align, but I would have loved to have I hope we get to see that kind of thing with these guys. I hope that there's somebody following your ass around, Mike, and getting that kind of stuff big time, like really thoughts and feelings, and the same with Devon, because It's magnificent. It's priceless stuff, isn't it?
That's the stuff all the fans want to see as well, that behind the scenes stuff.
Okay, sweetheart.
Sure.
All right, babe. Yeah, she's heading out to go get her grandbabies. So the funny thing about that is the video that you'd shot the night before, where he's talking about how he has my hand beat, he's got my shoulder beat, and after that it's nothing. People often ask me if the scream after the match where I'm your motherfucking limit, is that scripted? Did you plan that? Fuck, I didn't plan any of that shit. It's emotion. It's raw. It came out. When I flashed him in that shoulder press and he was still pulling, I'm like, it's over, baby. I thought you had my hand beat. I said, you ain't got shit. I thought you had my hand beat. That shit stuck. When he said that shit to me, I put that shit right back there. I was like, all right. So, and I didn't plan on saying it. But when I smacked him, I just took his hand rounds 1, 2, 3. Round 4, I just beat his shoulder. I'm like, all right, well, I thought you said that you had all this shit, But, and the thing is, I'm as big a fan of Devon as there is. Like, I've been talking about this. I'm torn with this match because I have such great respect for Devon. And I want to be collabing with Devon right now. I love arm wrestling. I love competing. But I would have just as much fun if he was at my house right now and we arm wrestled and then we went and did this and we did that. We just hung out. Like once we get to RV, our plans are at some point to pick Devon up at the airport or go to the border and have him swim across the river and me pick him up there, because he, whatever we need to do and just go on a tour with him. Because at the end of the day, and you guys see this in Strongman, there's a family that is arm wrestling, the camaraderie, the family. It's just, we're just a bunch of people. It's like a big family reunion getting together arm wrestling. We love what we do. We've shared this experience and this sacrifice with our fellow competitors. So it's just there's the one thing about this road trip that's going to be so cool is I could stop at any. I mean, I'm in an RV, of course, but I could stop anywhere. And there's an arm wrestler like, hey man, you want to come crash, or you want to do? You need to do this? You need anything? You know, that's just the world. That's what arm wrestling is. You know, I love that we have that, and I hope it doesn't change once it becomes a bigger sport. There is a lot with the social media where they want you to, you know, they pitted me and Devon against each other as he's the hero, I'm the villain, blah blah blah, and like that we don't get along, and we do what we do. We're having a good time. I mean, the day of, we probably want to kill each other, but after, you know, we're all good again. It's just a great sport, man. But as far as Devon and everything Neil said, spectacular guy. I mean, I've probably bragged on Devon Larratt more than any arm wrestler in my entire life. I've told more stories and bragged. So happy to have him a part of this arm wrestling family, this thing that I love so much. He's one of those special people that I told people about. He did this, he did that. Oh, he did this one time, or he did this military triathlon with full, you know, rucksack whole thing, ran it, came to the tournament, won right, left, overall right, left, and then arm wrestled for 2 hours afterwards. He literally did that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, did 1,000 push-ups without ever getting out of a push-up position, and just crazy things. The arm wrestling in 2008 afterwards, we beat me, you, I mean, Devon's just a guy that I've bragged about. You know, when I try to describe Devon's, you know, well, I probably shouldn't talk about his, you know, all of his. I mean, he's very high level, you know, elite special forces guy. So I've told some stories, but huge respect, huge fan, a lot of love for the guy. It's just on May 28th. You know, all that's going to be put to the side.
And it has to be. Yeah, as a professional athlete, you got to go there to win. It's you can be friends afterwards, you can be friends before, but when you're competing, you're there to win. It's as simple as that.
The cool thing as well is, as you say, it's not, you know, there's almost like a sense of banality about this in some respects when there probably shouldn't be, because people say, you know, oh, well, these guys, you know, this is it. It's the rubber match. It's the one. It's the decider. I get the feeling this is another chapter, and there'll be, you know, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like when the career's all said and done and everybody's hanging it up, that's when it's really over. Until that time, this is going to run and run, because there's only so many guys that are at that level in the world, you know. How many times have you got the call, Mike, when there's some invincible guy somewhere overseas that nobody, you know, oh, this guy's beat everyone, he's beat this guy, and that other motherfucker that was absolutely invincible, well, this guy beat his ass. Who's gonna, you know? And it's one of four guys, you know. It's you, it's Chafee, it's Devon, it's Jerry, and that's how it is.
You know, people hate me and hate my King's move until there is some invincible person that nobody can beat. They're like, hey, Michael can beat him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
maybe that dude can beat him. Yeah. You know? It's one of those things, isn't it? It's like it's an ongoing saga, and long may it continue, because you do see in your mind, you can picture old guard battles against, and it's the same with Strongman. I mean, you've probably been picking up, Loz, but a lot of the sentiment that Mike's talked about there is echoed. You go to a Giants gig
all the time.
You know,
there's always new guys that come along, but a lot of the same faces keep cropping up year and year and year on year. You know, it's hard to break in and break in for a certain amount of time. There's always impressive people that come and go, but there's only a few that ever last, you know, a prolonged period of time at the top. And that's you know,
level. It's hard as hell.
Very, very, very hard.
Lifestyle, isn't it? It's like, you know, it's not flashing the pan stuff. You're either a lifer or you ain't.
I think too many youngsters at the moment are just after either celebrity or making a quick buck. Whereas I would say all three of us, when we started this journey, we didn't give a damn about the money side of things. No. It was I certainly didn't do Strongman for the money, because if I did, I was a bloody moron. You know, it's nice that things.
Electric centre car parks and pub car parks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just a real love for what you do, and that's why, you know, why am I coming back now to compete again? I've done God knows how many contests over the years. I've competed at World's Strongest Man 11 times. I've, you know, broken world records. I've won multiple international shows. I don't really feel I've got to prove anything to anyone. You know, there's things I still haven't done that I would have liked to have done. But I when I sort of sit back and look back at my career, I'm pretty proud of the level I've got to.
So you should be.
But that doesn't stop me wanting to do another show. You know, and the only reason I want to do this show in the Royal Albert Hall is for me. No other reason. I don't care about the money side of it. I don't care about getting to World's Strongest Man. I just want to prove to myself that I am still elite level. I'm still good. And I just need that challenge. It's a personal challenge to push myself to be better. That's literally all it is. And people will be telling me, don't get injured and stuff like that. I am at the point, and I'm sure Michael kind of feels the same. I don't give a fuck if I get injured. It's a risk that I take doing what I do. You know, if you're in a Formula One race and you go 5 miles an hour slower just to not crash, you're not in the race. I know come competition day, I will give 100%, and what will be, will be. If I get injured, so be it. I get injured. I'll dust myself off and come back. Hopefully I don't get injured and I perform well and you know, things will go great. But if you're not willing to go and commit to that 100% level, you're never going to be a great athlete.
No.
You can't go against the best in the world and play it safe because they'll beat you.
Yeah, they will. There's always the guy that's going to go that extra mile, isn't there?
Yeah. It's just
I'm buzzing you coming back anyway.
I think it'll be fun.
The crowd frigging love you. How many times have you been there at Giants? And honestly, Mike, if you, I mean, I'm just so you know, I'm trying to talk him and shoulders to come over to Royal Albert Hall.
Get him over.
Try and sell him in the other day.
Tell me if I can try to schedule.
Lie in it. Just let me. I'll consult. Liz will probably know off the top of her head.
Probably will actually.
Let's have a look.
24th of July, isn't it?
There you go.
Yeah.
24th of July.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'd be rested up.
We get back from our first trip, I think, July 20th.
Mm-hmm.
We would have just been for 3 weeks in the RV, but that doesn't mean. So is travel going to be open by then?
Well, I'm hoping so.
Theoretically.
What?
Theoretically.
Okay, so you guys are open to travel now. So are y'all both going to be in Dubai?
We're not open to travel now.
We can't go to Dubai yet.
No. But your lockdown's done, so y'all can go locally and stuff again.
I think what they're hoping for is by I think it's June for everything to be back to as normal as possible, isn't it?
22nd of June. I don't know why I've got 22nd of June in
something like that. I don't know.
Late June, they've said that they would relax some of the lockdown and this is all attached.
It all depends on numbers, doesn't it?
Yeah. So they say if we're still at the place where we believe we'll be, then that's when we'd relax it further. But by July 24th, then we're supposed to be able to do arena shows.
Huh.
As it stands, our numbers at the moment are very good. The vaccination process is going real well over here. That's kind of been done very well, actually. So we're hopeful that things are going to keep improving now.
Yeah.
Okay, so send me the dates and like when I would need to arrive and where it's at, you know, all that, like everything I need, hotels, stuff like that. Rebecca's always wanted to come to England, you know.
Central London, mate. Don't get any more grand than that. I mean, friggin' hell. One of the reasons I'm sure that Loz was thinking, oh, I gotta do that one. It's
the Royal Albert Hall is like Madison Square Garden. You know, that's what it's like for
wow.
People.
Remember the call the other night when I was on to you and Rebecca? What did I describe it as?
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
It's the one, mate. It's the one. It's that like wow venue. Yeah. So worth it.
I mean, there's theoretically I could cut my trip short a few days and just, you know, head back home and then have a few days here because I can't be gone 3 weeks and then be gone. Because if I come to London, I'm not going to just stay for a few days. I'm going to spend a week or so.
Yeah, absolutely. Me and Laws have a few words, set up a massive match at Giants.
Yeah. Let's do it.
First one to win 100 lefty.
100 lefty. What now? The shape you're in and the shape I'm in. The shape where you like you carved out of Zeus's tooth and I look like I've been carved out of a bag of French fries. Oh.
I'm telling you, my left. People keep giving me shit on Devon left hand. I'm like, guys, my left elbow hurts every day. My shoulder hurts every day. I mean, just it's. I'm blessed to get through these workouts without, you know, damaging my left arm because it's in bad shape. But I still have to have it to do the workouts that I have to hit to have mental confidence that I'm going to be the man, you know. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, so
that's where you could do it though.
It's where I could do it. Oh, me and Devon lefty.
Went online, hey, you heard it here first, Loz. That's when he went online and said, I'll pull you left-handed. I'd love to pull you left-handed. Just not now.
Okay, yeah. I didn't think of that. How would I have 2 months?
Massive arena crowd. Loz doing his thing, breaking records on car
right there. That's some big views right there.
Baby.
That might be a good one.
Could be.
Hey guys, we've been on here an hour and 8 minutes. I would love to keep you. I mean, I'm having a blast. So, Laws. Okay, so your next event, the one you're training for right now, you got, I guess, what, 12 weeks, 11 weeks?
How's about 12, 13 weeks time now. It's I'm 3 weeks into training, believe it or not, but every week feeling better and better. I've done two event sessions now, and I'm battered from them, absolutely battered. I've got marks and bruises all over me, but I'm absolutely loving it. It's been 2 years since I've done any of the strongman stuff, and just really enjoying it. I'm actually I've been traveling around training with a lot of the guys that go into World's Strongest Man from the UK, and I'm holding my own. So if I'm holding my own at this sort of stage, that's a good position for me to be in. I feel like my strength is getting better each week. I've got a few training blocks to go through, so I've got a heavy week next week, and then I'll back off and build up, and then I'll back off and build up again to peak for the comp. But it's only 5 events, so my body can cope with that. You know, I'm not squatting heavy and stuff like that. I'm focusing on what I need to be strong at, which are the events for the contest. And I think I'm just trying to use that experience that I've got over the years to. I know how to turn up to a show in good shape. I'm not one of those guys that will be the strongest guy on the planet every day of the week in the gym. But if you give me a date and tell me I need to be ready for it, that I'm a bit like Devon in that respect. I can get myself in shape when I have to. So everything's kind of working towards that. There's a couple of good events in there for me. A couple that I tore my Achilles, and that's kind of, this is the real test. It's how that's going to cope. And a few of the events I've sort of got back into, that first set, it's in the back of your mind and you can feel you're being slow and ginger, but then the confidence is coming back. And, by my last set on most things, it's flying again. And, I feel the confidence growing week in, week out. So as long as things keep going well, I'm pleased. And I'm just absolutely loving it. I haven't enjoyed training this much in a long, long time. So I'm really excited.
Tremendous.
That's a great place to be, because for so long I had to take it. It was just a job. Training was a job. I had to do it. It wasn't stress relief. It wasn't fun anymore. It was a job. It's something I had to do. And I think in the last couple of years, probably, I've gotten back to where I enjoy it. And maybe since I built this new addition, the new gym, I just love my gym. You know what I'm saying? So I get out here and I enjoy it. I like training. So it especially, I've turned 48 in June. So been at this a long time. So getting back to being in love with it and enjoying the process, the competition. It's funny. Like when I pulled Dave Chafee, less than 5 minutes of arm wrestling, but it's 5 months of training. I trained for 5 months to pull for 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about this, I went to Dubai trying to get a Levon match. So I've been training since January, February, March, April, to come in here in May. So it's another similar situation, except it probably won't be 5 minutes. It's either going to be like 5 seconds or like 50 minutes.
It's not going to be like one of your Jerry matches. Those are just ridiculous.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, God. Those are so bad.
You must be absolutely battered after those.
All that shit to rest, because I hate those matches.
I've invited Mike and Jerry on. I don't know. When are you going to put this out, Michael? When is this going out, mate?
I don't know, but Sunday. I'm supposed to be on something, aren't I?
Yeah, in the presence of greatness.
We're camping. We just bought the RV. We went ahead and booked we go camping.
In the presence of greatness. We are rearranging the goddamn date. If you're watching this, guys, and you're on we're rearranging the date. I had Jerry agreed as well, and I cannot have that happen.
I'm so busy with shit. Like, I forget all the stuff that I'm supposed to be doing. So yesterday, I don't know if y'all saw it this morning, we released part 1 of 3 of us talking with Levon, and he had his translator on there. So he was on. We did that yesterday at 1 p.m. We did that for an hour and something, and so that was pretty cool stuff. But then I did a podcast. What was it? Tuesday night that I thought was Wednesday night, and then I thought it was 8:30 Central is actually 8:30 Eastern. I'm like, oh shit! Like, I am all over the place, man. Like I said, I'm so tunnel visioned on training. Everything else is just falls in when it falls in, you know. But yeah, hey guys, appreciate so much for your time. Huge best wishes for everything, for your comeback story. I hope it's amazing. Possibly, if we can work it out, I can be over there and be involved.
Amazing to have you over. Absolutely amazing.
Seriously, that'd be so much fun. But you know, if you do make it to the States later on, whenever you do, I'm right here in the middle. I'm in Arkansas, so everything, all the cool shit's way over here. But if you can make it,
we will make the trip for sure. Me and Liz want to kind of spend some time in the States and travel around. So yeah, we will definitely make that happen. And I still need to come and see you, Neil, as well. Now that we can get about.
When it's over, Operation Turn Loz into a bar mother flub. It's going down.
It seems like a pretty easy operation to get done.
We can do this.
Right, guys. Thank you. I hope everybody enjoyed this video. Two amazing guys. Thank you so much for your time. Be sure to subscribe to Supernatural Strength. Is that your YouTube?
Yeah, Neil Pickup's Supernatural Strength channel.
Neil Pickup Supernatural Strength channel. Is it Big Laws World's Strongest Man, or what is it?
Big Laws Official. Big Laws Official.
Big Laws Official. And it's growing like crazy. He is the biggest YouTube channel on this call. He's killing it, guys.
His background.
Yeah.
It's my boudoir.
Yeah, dude, I gotta redo my upstairs and get me one of those. That's awesome.
Awesome.
All right,
awesome, guys. Take care.
Notifications, guys. We appreciate the support. Thank you guys so much for your time. God bless y'all. Have a good evening.
Thanks for having us on, brother.
Cheers, buddy.